Hello, my name is Arthur. Before I begin, I want to ask you a question. If you woke up one morning and all your emotions were completely gone, would you notice it right away? Or would you go on for weeks thinking everything was normal? Only to realize it one day while drinking coffee, talking to a friend, or looking at your own eyes in the mirror, because the person I am going to tell you about in this file experienced exactly that. The heartbeat stopped, the brain works, life goes on, but something inside has glitched. And the scariest part, nobody even noticed. Sometimes I stop and look at my hands. I watch the movement of my fingers, the rhythm of the veins beneath my skin, but not a single shred of a sense of ownership awakens within me. It feels as though this body doesn't belong to me, but is rather rented for a temporary period. To an outsider, everything is fine. I wake up right on time in the morning, drink my coffee, sit at my computer, and reply to incoming emails. When people talk to me, I stand exactly where I am supposed to be, wearing the mask I am supposed to wear. I laugh when a joke is made that requires laughter, and I adjust my face accordingly when something sad happens. But nothing moves inside me. Only emptiness, a flat, silent, motionless emptiness. I mimic everything so perfectly that no one realizes there is actually no sign of life inside. While sitting at that table, I am a third eye watching my own body from above. While everyone else lives life by feeling it, I am trying to live life by calculating it. And this is much more exhausting than you think, because when a person doesn't feel, they don't become free. On the contrary, they are condemned to think constantly. When the day ends, I return home. I close the door. The silence begins, but when the noises outside fade, the voices inside grow louder. It's as if there is a massive factory in my mind. Thousands of gears, thousands of motors, thousands of processes, and they never stop. If only they would stop. If only I could sit for just 5 minutes without thinking about anything. But it doesn't happen. The quieter my heart is, the louder my mind becomes. And that is where the thing most people fail to notice begins, because many think this is a sign of intelligence, constantly thinking, constantly analyzing, constantly trying to understand. But sometimes, this is not a superiority. Sometimes, it is merely a defense mechanism developed by a wounded mind. In psychology, they call this depersonalization, the feeling of watching oneself from the outside, ceasing to be the hero of your own life and instead becoming its spectator. And here is the interesting part. This condition rarely appears out of nowhere after a major trauma. Sometimes, it forms gradually. Just like rusting. Just like waves crashing against the shore, eroding the rocks over the years. One day you realize that nothing looks as colorful as it used to. The music is the same. The people are the same. Life is the same, but you are not the same. Today, as I was walking down the street, an ambulance passed by me. Its sirens echoed off the walls of the avenue. Perhaps someone inside was fighting for their life. Perhaps a family, at that very moment, was living the worst day of their lives. Normally, something stirs inside a person, even if just a little. Right, nothing happened to me. I just calculated the speed of the ambulance, the traffic density, the alternative routes. Then I started watching myself. Why didn't I feel anything? Am I a bad person? Am I merciless? Or am I someone who is completely broken? And my mind answered, as it always does, logical, cold, and emotionless answers, because my mind always finds an explanation. But finding an explanation is not the same as living. Understanding something is not the same as feeling it. I am not living life. I am performing an autopsy on it. I dissect everything into pieces, like examining a body laid out on a table. I don't feel it. Sometimes I think about my childhood. The days I truly cried. The moments I was truly happy. I remember a time when colors were brighter. Once upon a time, the world was more alive. So, what changed? Perhaps the modern world has placed more burden on our minds than they can carry. Hundreds of news stories every day, thousands of images, millions of pieces of information. sorrows, disasters, crises. And the human mind is not infinite. At some point, it goes into self-protection mode. Maybe my mind did exactly that. Maybe one day an invisible decision was made inside, and the system said, if you feel this much, you will shatter. And then the circuit breaker was pulled. The emotions were shut down. The problem is, when you turn off the pain, you can't just turn off the pain alone. The same switch is connected to happiness, to longing, to love, and to excitement. When a friend hugs me, instead of feeling that warmth, I question. I wonder how the act of hugging came about evolutionarily. When I watch a movie, instead of getting caught up in the story, I analyze the director's techniques, how the scene was shot, or how much the actor earned. When I listen to a song, instead of surrendering to the emotions, I think about the harmonic structures. My mind filters everything. It explains everything, rationalizes everything, and without realizing it, sterilizes life. It's as if I am inside an aquarium. I can see the world outside. I can hear people's laughter, their love, their pain, their anger. But there is an invisible glass between us. Everything is filtered, cooled, and loses its meaning before it reaches me. I cannot touch it. I only watch. This is exactly why thinking has turned into an addiction for me, because where I do not feel, thinking becomes the only proof of my existence. I constantly tell myself, if you can still analyze, you still exist. A computer can analyze too. An algorithm can process data. So, what makes me human? When I lie in bed at night, this question returns. While staring at the ceiling, in the midst of the silence, I rethink a sentence a friend said years ago, over and over again. A glance. I gesture, a word, for hours, and I realize that I no longer ask, what did I feel? I ask, what should I have felt? This is the most dangerous point, because when a person stops experiencing their emotions, they begin to simulate them, and after a while, the difference between the simulation and reality disappears. People tell me their troubles. They find me understanding, wise, and calm. But perhaps it's not because I am emotionally strong. Perhaps it's just because I can't feel enough. While you are in the middle of the storm, I am looking from the shore. Which is why I can show the way. But sometimes, I wish I were in that storm too. I wish I could fall in love irrationally. I wish I could make foolish decisions. I wish I could live some things without calculating them. Because constantly calculating the right move doesn't make a person happy, it just wears them out. The magic of life is somewhat hidden in uncertainty, but my mind cannot tolerate uncertainty. It wants to explain everything. It wants to solve everything. And while trying to solve it, it kills the moments that are meant to be lived. Sometimes I challenge myself. I pull out old photographs. I read old letters. I turn on the most emotional songs. I watch the heaviest movies. I tell myself just one thing, come on, feel something. But it doesn't happen. And at that moment, I realize maybe the problem isn't that the emotions are gone, but that the paths leading to them are closed. Maybe there is still something inside. But they have been left behind walls built over years, and the walls became so thick that I can no longer even hear their voices. Perhaps life is not an equation. It is not a problem to be solved. Maybe it is just an experience to be lived. And maybe that is exactly why hope still exists. Because no system runs the same way forever. No wall stands forever. No winter lasts forever. One day, that glass will crack. One day, a stone will get jammed between the gears of that factory. One day, all that noise will stop. And on that day, the first thing to enter will probably not be happiness. Maybe it will be pain, maybe longing, maybe fear, maybe a grief that has been suppressed for years. But whatever it is, I will be grateful for it. Because even pain is more alive than nothingness. Because even a broken heart carries more life than a numb heart. And when that day comes, maybe for the first time, I will truly cry. Maybe for the first time, I will truly laugh. Maybe for the first time, I will truly live. And then I will understand. The problem was never thinking too much. The problem was allowing thinking to take the place of feeling. This file ends here, but the ones ahead are not over yet. If what I've told sounds familiar, perhaps the person in this file is actually you. sitting on the other side of the screen right now.